I'm on record saying that the Black Lives Matter movement is a false narrative. A politically manufactured movement meant to divide our nation and advance progressive agenda items. And with almost all of the mainstream media advancing this disingenuous scheme, the American people are not getting the information they need to understand this gambit. A sobering infographic presented by the Federal Papers Project tells a story of politicians ignoring the fact on the ground in an effort to push their political agendas, citing the undeniable facts that 93% of blacks killed today are killed by other blacks, and that 1,876 black babies are aborted every day in the United States. The infographic points on our quite pointedly that the Black Lives Matter movement is a political lie. The black community, by statistics alone, is proven to be its own worst enemy. President Obama and the progressives rail on about inequity on the black communities, even as these statistics point out the self-inflicted damage within the community. They do this to advance pet initiatives important to the fundamental transformation of the country. Remember that Obama said that we will fundamentally change the United States of America. That was in 2008, and that has surely happened, and we have let it happen. While Democrats and progressives thwart important funding of diseases such as Zika because the bill is attached to the Planned Parenthood funding, they ignore that the federally subsidized abortion mills are decimating the black community, with almost 700,000 black babies being aborted annually. This right to choose is tantamount to government-sanctioned genocide on the black culture in the United States of America. And let me point one thing out here. Abortion is murder. Black-on-black gang crime in the urban areas of our nation is in epidemic proportions, with body counts that eclipse those that wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. In Chicago alone, 3,000 people had been shot and over 500 people killed, mostly black, in 2016 alone. One story that came out of the Chicago Tribune spoke of a man, Duminis Halom, was shot 6 times in less than a decade, 6 times before he was finally killed by a gang bullet at the age of 27 years old. Someone in the military is getting the shot on the field of a battle 6 times would be highly decorated hero warrior. Halom is just another statistic, another black man gunned down by a black man beholden to the over-glorified gang culture that dominates inner-city black communities. Many, including celebrated academics like Dr. Thomas Sowell and Walter E. Williams, accomplished and learned black professors at Stanford and George Mason universities, respectively, has exalted the denigration of the black family as a major cause of this situation. A full 67% of black children grow up in a single-parent household. These households are almost exclusively led by a mother in the absence of a father. Even though black mothers work full-time jobs to provide and then still instill their children of the ethos and right and wrong, their efforts are marginalized by the absence of a father figure to reinforce those ethos. Sadly, many young black men turn to their societies for alpha influence, and in most urban areas that comes from the fall machismo of the gang culture. And with 52% of black students dropping out of high school and never attending college, the unemployment rate among young black people is necessarily upwards over 40%. The jobs that do exist for this demographic are jobs that limits their futures to just getting by, creating an allure to easy money, which comes again from the urban gang culture. These are the realities that Obama and the progressive race baiters of the Black Lives Matter scheme don't want you to understand. In fact, they don't want those in the black community to understand or realize these facts either. Should the urban black come to understand how Obama and the progressives, meaning communists, have gamed them for their votes all these years, a true anger would emerge and would bring down the progressives' house of cards. What do you think about the progressives' enabled carnage on the black community? Yeah, what do you think? We know that George Soros has openly, admittedly, created and funding Black Lives Matter. And these black people who are in the lead in Black Lives Matter don't realize that all they are is pawns to serve a political agenda. They don't get it. They just think they're doing a good cause. And the most people who is joining up with this group of pesky pissants, as I would call them, and I stand by that, you are pissants. Unfortunately, those people are uneducated people that have not really anything to look forward to. And the way you're acting, promoting violence, is in my book being a pissant. You would not like yourself to be committed violence against in any form or fashion, but yet you want to inflict pain and suffering on other people. Now, what are we going to do with this? There isn't much we can do, because there's not a unified United States of America. We are a divided United States of America. But I'm telling you, everything which is going on around you, in your communities, are all agitated, all promoted and funded by the progressives, by the communists. And you are playing right into their hands, all the way. When Obama was in Chicago, he was a community agitator. His father is Frank Marshall Jr., a radical communist. He writes this in book, My Dreams About My Father, mostly about Frank Marshall, how he is his mentor. He was his freaking daddy. His mom, a whore, a sex trap, was a CIA operative that used her cunt to get information of vital nature to the CIA. She was also a pornography model. Frank Marshall Jr. recorded pornography of Obama's mother. So the apple don't fall far from the tree, right? Not at all. It falls right next to it. All Obama has learned in his entire life is to be a communist, is to be against humanity, to be striving for a tyrannical, dictatorial agenda and rise to power in politics. But he's not a politician. He's far from being a politician. He's a pissant and a communist. And communism is not politics. Communism is the hatred of God Almighty. It's the hatred of anything that is prosperous. They themselves see themselves as leaders and powerful beings and everybody else is subject to their ideas. And if you don't want to be a subject to their insane radical ideas, they are acting just like the Muslims are doing. They're killing people. And it happens to be that Barack Hussein Obama, alone the name should tell you that he's an Arab in nature. He's a Muslim. They call themselves religion of peace, tolerance, and love. I don't see it. I don't see it anywhere. And the most loving thing that these Muslims would do to the rest of the world would be to unify and stop these radicals themselves. But no, they are not. They're just doing nothing. And as I say, and I stand by that, not reacting is the same as accepting, meaning they are just as guilty as the radical Muslims. Period. Communism is the most evil ideological system mankind has ever faced. Look at China, how people are being treated in China. 1.3 billion people are slaves under the regime of a communist China. The same with North Korea. Soviet Union fell apart. Putin was once a KGB agent, but he learned that communism don't work. And it don't work. This utopia will never ever work, because they will keep killing and keep killing in order to get some kind of goal to meet their needs. And then they will realize that they still didn't meet their needs. So they will go out again to cleanse up in the society. And now these same anti-God, people-hating people, personalities, communism, have now created a black community of people that is determined to run around in our society, spreading hate, spreading fear, committing violence, even committing murder. And they are agitating verbally to do so. They are just pawns, but they're still peasants, because deep inside they know what they're doing is wrong. Because reality is, their soul cannot lie to them, and they know it's wrong. But they are, what do you want to call it? They're high. They are intoxicated on this new power that they think they have. When the Black Lives Matter's agenda is fulfilled by the communists, they will be exposed of. And I want you, Black Lives Matters, to understand that. You're being used, and you're using it against yourself. You are violating Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream about a unified, amongst races, America. Directly. You're violating that. And he is the example for a unified America. And you're going 180 degrees opposite of what he wished for this country, for all of us, for prosperity and the pursuit of happiness. CIA, a communist organization too, they killed him for it. Robert Kennedy got murdered too, because he was defending and standing up for the black community. Now I want you to think very hard on that, Black Lives Matter, and pack your bags, go home, and be decent citizens. What you're doing is hurting yourself. It's not gonna get any gain for you. None. I'm telling you. you will gain nothing. Over and out. This disingenuous scheme. The American people are not getting the information they need to understand this gambit. A sobering infographic presented by the Federal Papers Project tells a story of politicians ignoring the fact on every day in the United States. The infographic points on our quite pointedly that the Black Lives Matter movement is a political lie. The black community, by statistics alone, is proven to be its own. I'm on record saying that the Black Lives Matter movement is a false narrative. A politically manufactured movement meant to divide our nation and advance progressive agenda items, and with almost all of the mainstream media advancing worst enemy. President Obama and the progressives rail on about inequity on the black communities, even as these statistics point out the self-inflicted damage within the community. They do this to advance pet initiatives on the ground in an effort to push their political agendas, citing the undeniable facts that 93% of blacks killed today are killed by other blacks, and that 1,876 black babies are aborted